Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. What's going on? What's going on? Just give me a couple of minutes. I'm still setting up. Making sure my mic is on. Give me 1 second. Mic check, mic check. I ain't getting nothing out of this mic. It's on. My mic is on. I don't know what the problem is. Okay. All right. Mic check, mic check. Peace to everybody who's watching on Instagram. Waiting for my YouTube to go live. Shout out to everybody who supported me and bought this book. I appreciate the support. You know what I mean? For anybody who hasn't bought this book, this is a book that I wrote called Easy, A Guide to Mindfulness and Meditation. I wrote it for children ages 8 to 12 to teach them mindfulness, to teach them self-love, to teach them how to emotionally regulate, to teach them how to find joy in the present moment, and teach them how to look within themselves and find that inner light, find their own inner light so they can shine real bright for the rest of the world. Salute to everybody who bought a copy of the book. We are still selling copies of this book. Get your copy at www.devinmccrory.com. That's www.devinmccrory.com. Peace. We're going to get started in a couple of seconds. I'm just waiting for my... okay. Just waiting for Insight Timer to kick in. Don't know what's up with my stuff. My camera's messed up. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. What's going on here? Camera's not working. Oh, man. What's going on here? Don't know what's going on here. My YouTube. Peace. What's going on, my brother? What's going on, bro? About to hop on this live real quick. About to get real personal real fast. Going live on Insight Timer, live on Instagram. My YouTube is bugging, but it's all love though. Peace and blessings. All right. Hopefully we don't have no tech issues. Yeah, you're right. I was never good at electronic devices. I should have came in the room like an hour early just to set all this up. Insight Timer, what's going on, everybody? Peace and blessings to everybody who joined. Let me know you in the building. Say peace when you come in. Aloha, Ashe, Hotep, Assalamu alaikum, howdy, all of that. Give me your greeting. Whatever your greeting is, I return the greeting always. Rita, how are you? All right, can you guys see me? Okay. Uh-oh, look like we got an error. Guys, I don't know if you guys can see me, but give me a second because we got some kind of error. There's a tech issue going on. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm trying to go ahead. Can you guys hear me? All right, let me know if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Give me a second. I'm having some tech issues over here. Let me get started in a moment. All right, let me know if can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now? Let me know how the sound is on your end. Rashad, what's going on, my brother? Let me know if you can hear me. I had like a tech issue for a second, but I think we got it squared away. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, good. All right, perfect. I'm glad everybody's here. Glad y'all was in the building. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what was going on with the tech issues, but we're here. So we're like 4 minutes in, fiddling around trying to fix what was happening. You know, we usually get started at about the 7-minute mark. So let's just see how everybody's doing. Let's do a quick check-in. How's everybody feeling? How have you been? Where you hail from? Salute to all of you. Peace and blessings to all of you. Thank you for your patience. Peace and blessings to y'all who's watching this on Instagram. What's going on, everybody? Alex, you doing all good? Zawadi, sound is good? Cool. Hopefully everybody's been well. You know, hopefully y'all got nice and stuffed on Thanksgiving, or if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Bobo, you just joined? What are we doing? Well, right now we're going to have a nice little conversational discussion. Rosemary, hi from London. Okay. Hello from America, from Maryland. Alex, Austin, Texas. Cool. New York in the building. Hi, Mercedes. Colorado. Marie, you in Colorado? Nicole, Denver. Okay. It's good to see everybody. Vancouver. Okay. Oh, you're having a real tough week, experiencing a lot of anxiety. Okay, good. We're here. I'm not saying it's good you're experiencing it, but I'm saying it's good that you came. We're here to support each other. Ginger in Idaho. Okay. Yep, DMV, Maryland. That's right. I'm right in that little area right there. Right in that little area. Headed down. I'm gonna head down to DC this weekend. There's a bookstore that I go to down there, which they got a real good bookstore called. I can't advertise it here, but it's a real good bookstore down there. It's a bookstore / cafe. I love to take my sons there, hang out there, and get something to eat. They got some real good food there. I think the cafe is owned by an Ethiopian family, and it can cook real good. Yep, good Thanksgiving. I was definitely very grateful and very stuffed. Hopefully everybody else is doing well. Your families are doing well. Hopefully everybody feels blessed. And if you're not feeling blessed, I'm glad you're here because we got some positive energy for you. Ryan, you from the DMV too? Okay, that's what's up. I haven't even had a chance to even really explore down here very much. I gotta get out more. I gotta look around some more. But from what I see thus far, it seems a little more chill than where I'm from. I just feel a little restless and stressed. Okay. I'm from Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, initially. And then I moved down here to Maryland. Beatrice, you're down in Brazil. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Way down in Brazil. Well, I'm glad you're joining us tonight. So we in the 7-minute mark, so let's get started. So tonight I wanted us to talk about anxiety. But I wanted to talk about anxiety and how it affects our favorite diva. What's going on? I'm glad to see you. But tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety, and I want to talk about the way anxiety affects us and the way it affects the way we connect with other people. I know that as a person who has suffered with severe anxiety, for a long, long, long time out of my life. I know it's affected my relationships, and I know I've had some strange experiences because of my anxiety. I had some strange experiences because of the fact that it was hard to connect when when you feel anxious. And I don't know if anybody else has dealt with this, but my anxiety a lot of times came from low self-esteem. I dealt with low self-esteem for a big chunk of my life. And I don't never really hide anything. I'm very open about all the stuff I've gone through. I'll never really conceal it. I have no problem with telling people what I've gone through. And I've gone through a lot of dark times in my life, and anxiety and depression and all that other stuff that comes with it were with me for a big chunk of my life. And so as I was, a young man growing up and developing, I had a lot of negative experiences. I had a lot of trauma as a child. Saw a lot of things I wasn't supposed to see. Had some experiences I wasn't supposed to have that really just filled me with nervousness, anxiety. I was really, really afraid. I was afraid that I was going to be rejected and wasn't going to be loved. Where this came from, and we could psychoanalyze it all day. I was afraid of not being loved, afraid of not being accepted, afraid of not finding my tribe. Because I didn't really care if I fit in or not. I didn't really fit in, which was cool with me. I didn't care if I fit in, but I didn't want to be lonely. I didn't want to be completely alone, right? So a lot of times when you're a person who is anxious and you have a fear of being alone, that fear of being alone also is attached to a fear of intimacy, which is like the most horrible torture. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. The desire to connect with somebody and the fear of connecting with somebody existing within the same space. You really want to connect with somebody. You really want to be with somebody. And of course, a young man who, had, the normal sexual desires of a young man. So you want to be close. You want to feel loved. You want that release. You want that magic. But you feel like you don't deserve that magic. I felt like I didn't deserve that magic. And so, I would, Rachel, how you doing? I felt like I didn't deserve that magic. So, because of my low self-esteem, I was constantly afraid of being rejected. Everybody gets rejected. Rejection is a part of life, but without some kind of confidence, rejection is extremely hard to deal with. And so my anxiety of rejection got magnified and amplified every time I heard, and this is something I thought about years ago, every time I heard no from a woman or I'm not interested from a woman, it reminded me of all the other times I got rejected. So every single one no could have the impact of 1,000 no's. Because I heard no 1,000 other times before. So if you say no, it's like you're getting hit all over again with all those other past rejections. And that makes you very anxious. That makes you very anxious when it comes to taking chances, trying to connect with other people. You become terrified. Terrified of rejection. Terrified of trying. Especially when you hear no all the time and you just don't understand what it is. And you start to think that there's something horribly wrong with you. You start to think that you're inadequate. You start to think that that maybe you deserve to be by yourself and deserve to be alone, right? But then you have those moments where you're not alone, right? But you haven't been trained for those moments. If you've dealt with a lot of rejection and dealt with loneliness, you've been trained perfectly to be alone. Dealing with long spats of loneliness trains you to be alone. You never had no training with intimacy or with love or with connecting. And so you get scared of it. And anything healthy and safe, you're nervous about it because you're afraid that once you get it, somebody's going to take it away. You're afraid that once you let your guard down, somebody's going to snatch it away from you and you're going to be alone again. And it's going to hurt even worse. Right? And you spend a lot of time oscillating between, okay, let's go, I want a relationship, and then falling right back on, I can't do it. Too nervous. And so what happens when you're too nervous? You just try and fail, try and fail, try and fail. And it's a weird cycle. And it gets to the point where if you fail so many times, and we have a tendency as human beings to externalize everything, right? So all these rejections, you feel like it's something else out there that's not quite right. You feel like the world don't accept you, or something horrible about you that makes you incompatible with other human beings, which compounds the anxiety. It compounds the anxiety, and it makes it to the point where you begin to look for shelter in the storm, and then when you find shelter in the storm, you self-sabotage. But then when you find something toxic, something, something sexually passionate, but at the same time something that's not good for you, or something that's not substantial, then that's where you go. And if you're a person like me, I was a ball of contradictions, because I wanted that real love, I wanted that real connection, I wanted that real intimacy, right? However, I was afraid of it. How do I know you so well, Dana? I am you. I told y'all before, we are all one. We are all one. We all been there. If you're dealing with anxiety, or if you've dealt with anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So going through that cycle of, I want to connect, but I'm afraid to connect, and then you end up connecting with somebody where you know it's going to end. You know it's going to end, and you know when it ends, it's not going to end well, or it's going to end abruptly, or you're going to leave and not care, and they're not going to care, because the less of a connection that you have with a person, the less it's going to hurt when it ends. And this is anxiety. This is anxiety strategizing. When you have anxiety, you spend all day, every day strategizing. Not strategizing to win, but strategize how to avoid engagement, or strategizing how to disengage quickly, or strategizing on how to lose as little as possible. Right? So let's say, for instance, you have to go to a party, or you have to go to a family function. You got anxiety. So before you even leave the house, you're thinking about how you're going to get back home. And I know people who have anxiety, when they go out, they always have to drive their own car. And then when somebody calls them and says, yeah, man, I'm going to have drinks when we get to the party, so come pick me up and drive me. Oh, my God. I was like that. One of my boys would call me and be like, yo, when we get to the party, I'm going to drink, so I need you to drive me, man. I'd be like, oh, my God. So I got to leave when you want to leave. I can't leave when I want, so I got to stay even longer. And then sometimes you walk through the door. As soon as you walk through the door of the party or the gathering or whatever, you start making excuses. Yeah, I got to pick up my kids in like an hour. Even when I ain't have kids. I know one time I used my son as an excuse. I didn't even have no son. I was like 25. I went somewhere. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to bounce because I got to pick up my kids in like an hour. So strategizing on how to leave before you even get there. Which is sad. And you do the exact same thing with your relationship. You strategizing on how can I get out before it even starts. And I've done that. Sad as it sounds. That's a good son. As sad as it sounds, you strategize on how we can get out of the relationship before it even starts. And I've had opportunities for healthy relationships. I've had opportunities to build something with someone. And I can admit I've wrecked them. I've wrecked them. Sometimes I did it unconsciously without realizing what I was doing. Sometimes there was a little part of me that was fully aware of what was happening. And it was a little part of me that was fully aware that I have to wreck this because I'm so afraid of getting rejected later on. I'm just afraid, period. You do that in your marriage? It's too good to be true, Marie. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a big part of anxiety. Think about it. Most people don't use that phrase. Most people don't use the phrase, it's too good to be true. Only time I've ever really heard that phrase is individuals who have anxiety. I've never really heard a whole lot of people who, are confident and they feel good about themselves. They don't think things are too good to be true because they feel like they deserve it. When something is good, they're like, okay, yeah, that's mine. That's how it should be. Right? They don't feel like this is too good to be true. Things are going to fall apart. A lot of people who have a healthy mindset don't think that. But you and I, we think that. We feel that way. It's too good to be true, so I got to do a little self-sabotaging. And sometimes you self-sabotage to test, to see if the person truly cares for you and loves you. And sometimes you self-sabotage it because you're looking for an escape route. And then you do this, and then another thing that we do with intimacy is we play victim. You hurt me out, because you want the other person to feel, you want the other person to hurt you so you can have a reason to live. Yeah, and that's why mindfulness is very important, Marie, because a lot of times we do these things without even realizing it. And that's why getting to know ourselves, getting to know our habits is so important. That's why I really, really, really try my best to teach mindfulness in every single situation, because we get in these cycles and don't even realize what we're doing. I would have this thing where, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, when I was younger, going through depression, and dealing with anxiety and dealing with low self-esteem, I would drink. And I remember I had this weird thing where if I had to be intimate or if I had to go on a date, guess what I would do? I would get drunk first. I would get drunk and then go on a date. And if things went wrong, I could say, oh, it's because I was just drunk. That's why things went wrong. And if things don't go wrong, then I can feel comfortable in my own skin. The anxiety of losing control. Okay, the way you structure your life when you're single, and really having that need for control is a result of anxiety as well, demon. A lot of people who have anxiety have a need to try to control everything, because means that letting go means that things are not going to go your way, and if things don't go your way, you don't know. And this is just my perspective, but it means you don't know if you have the strength to handle it when they don't. That's a major thing. A lot of people I've met with serious control issues, underneath that, there's anxiety in regards to something. There's something you don't want to lose, and so in order to keep hold of it, you have to try to control every aspect of it and every facet of it. And that's how we are in relationships sometimes too. A lot of individuals who are in relationships, they're really controlling, and being controlling is a horrible thing in a relationship. It's hard to deal with, but at the same time, understand that and I hate to say this, because anybody who's abusive or restrictive to somebody, I don't necessarily sympathize with them, but I can see where they're coming from. Sometimes I can see that pain. I can see that anxiety. Like, wow, like they're freaking out right now, trying to control me, but it's because they're nervous about something, or they've been hurt, or they've been rejected, they're anxious about something. But they have to deal with that, and we have to deal with that. If that's what we're doing, we have to deal with that. Setting up intimate situations and then self-sabotaging because we're afraid, that's something that we have to address. Trying to control somebody because we're afraid, that's something we have to address. Doing things to numb the anxiety. Like I knew a young lady back in the day who needed to get high. She needed to smoke weed to be intimate. Now I'm not sure. And me being a young man at that time, I was in a whole different mindset. She was like, I need to smoke to do what we got to do. So I brought her, supplied the substance that she needed, and we enjoyed ourselves. But I didn't even think back at the time to ask her what she had gone through, why she felt that way, which is what I should have done. I should have asked, why you feel like that? I was thinking on a whole different level. Yeah, they've been hurt. Yeah, that's right. You got to control everything. The control thing is about trying to limit the chances of things hurting you. Exactly. Right, right. Cycles. We got to break our own cycles. We definitely have to break our own cycles. So, one thing that I could definitely say for certain is I've wasted too much time when it comes to developing myself, because you develop yourself through your relationships. A big part of your self-development is trying to develop the capacity for healthy and safe relationships. Knowing how to pick somebody you're compatible with. Knowing how to express yourself. Knowing how to speak up. Because when I was young and I was anxious and had low self-esteem, I wouldn't speak up. I would take all kinds of nonsense. And not say a word for fear of rejection, even though I was being rejected anyway, but I felt like I had to keep my mouth shut. So anxiety could cripple you in a lot of different ways. It keeps you from speaking your piece. It keeps you from connecting. It keeps you from being comfortable being alone. It keeps you from being comfortable with somebody. Keeps you from developing. And that's one thing I can honestly say. I lost years of development, and now that's why I have to do everything now so passionately. And everything now is like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and I had developed an idea that I really wanted to bring to life, and he knew somebody who can connect with and work with, and I'm like, come on, let's go, let's have a Zoom meeting right now, let's talk about it, let's talk about some numbers. And he's like, yeah, I got you. Yeah, we'll link up. I'm not sure when, but we'll link up. And I'm hitting him up like, come on, let's do this. Let's do this. And I realized that he's just living life. Not that he's trying to avoid me. That's my man. I knew him forever. He's not trying to avoid me. He's not acting strange. He's living life. But with me, I'm like, we have to do this now because I spent so much time being crippled by anxiety. Dress rehearsal for tragedy. That's a that's a dope way of putting it. Thank you, favorite diva. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. But yeah, all those years I slowed down, being afraid of being hurt, and then doing things to hurt myself anyway. So you really, it's a excuse me, it's a no-win game. On the one hand, I'm gonna avoid intimacy because I'm afraid of being hurt, and then because I don't want to be alone and I got needs, I'm gonna jump in a toxic situation and get hurt anyway. It's better just to become mindful and become more aware of my patterns and start breaking my patterns so I can consciously decide where my life is going to go. And one thing with me that really helped me, I am stubborn. I am stubborn and fearless. Right? I'm so stubborn. That's how I overcame depression. I said to myself, when I was depressed, I said to myself, I'm not going to let depression control my life. And so I did what I had, and it took me a long time. I had to meditate every single day for years before I came out of that and started to be able to see life the way it really is. When I had anxiety, when I was having panic attacks, I said, I'm not going to let this control my life. I am so stubborn. And I remember I would literally expose, and there's a technique in psychology they call exposure, where you have anxiety about certain things, so you expose yourself to it for a limited period of time, until you get used to it and it becomes less terrifying and eventually you can deal with it. Anxiety quite often does boil down to a desire to be safe, but also like I was saying too, it's connected to your low self-esteem. Like, you're afraid of being rejected. You have a low value of yourself. And so because you have a low value of yourself, you're afraid of taking even minuscule risks. Because life is about risk, period. If you see somebody you find attractive and say, hey, can I have your number? You're taking a risk. But anxiety is so severe, you're afraid of any risk. Any risk. And for some people, even taking the risk of going outside to get food, going outside to go to the store. There's individuals I know who, they're going through anxiety and they don't know it. And you make small suggestions. Let's go out to eat. Oh, well, it gets to the point where it becomes so severe. Your world is big like this, and you're afraid, so you make it smaller, and then you're afraid, and you make it smaller. You're afraid, you make it smaller, and then it gets to the point where this is your whole wide world. I know somebody who dealing with severe anxiety, and their whole world is their room, their refrigerator, and their TV. That's their whole universe. And I don't want us to deal with that no more. I don't want us to deal with that no more. I don't want us to keep dealing with a shrinking world. I got this on Instagram. There's this guy I follow, or page that I follow. I don't know who runs it. It's called The Great Planet, it's called The Great Planet. And all it is just beautiful pictures of all these places all around the world that just look magical. They look like they can't possibly be real. I'm a city boy. So for me as a city boy, seeing all this stuff, it's like mind-blowing. And I had to ask myself, like, why am I not taking these adventures? Why am I not going there? Why am I not going to these places? Why am I not having fun? And a part of it is the fact that I'm getting older. I don't know what I find fun anymore. For years in my life, I dealt with depression. So once I came out of my depression, I don't even know what's funny anymore. But I think a part of it could possibly be the remnants of anxiety. But we got to understand it's a big old world out there. And not only a big old world, but think about it. You got people having conversations about going into outer space now, going to Mars and living on Mars, setting up a colony on Mars. That's the kind of thinking we need to have. We have to have thinking so big that the universe becomes our home. The planet is our home. The universe is really our home. That's how you feel when you feel confident, you feel free. And I want all of us to feel confident and free. I don't want our world to become this. I don't want your world to become just your house. I don't want your world to become the 5 friends who you trust. I don't want your world to become the unsatisfactory relationships. I don't want your world to become just the toxic engagements. I don't want your world just to be the quiet, slowly destructive marriage that's crumbling over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. I don't want that for you. The world is too big. You quit drinking? Congratulations, David. You're still trying to figure out what fun is? Yeah, and I was there too. Because a big part of it is the fact that all your activities when you drink, and I don't know if this is you, all my activities when I was drunk, you know, it's like once you stop drinking, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Once you stop drinking, it's like, wait a second, what do I do now? Because before I would like go to the beach drunk. I would meet women drunk. I would, watch. I remember one time when I was young, me and my boys would go to the movie theaters and just be drunk in a movie theater. And I look back on it now, I'm realizing it's because I had anxiety. Yeah, that's right, and you're right, favorite diva. Most pick up another habit. I used to work at a rehab, so at the rehab where I worked at an adolescent rehab, and the kids couldn't get anything. They couldn't get no coffee, nothing. But when I worked at the adult rehab for a little bit, hey Shakara, how you doing? When I worked at the adult rehab for a little bit, it was interesting because all these adults had stopped drinking alcohol, but they would drink big cups of coffee all the time, all day, every day. Coffee with mad cream, mad sugar. They was trying to pick up something else. And some of them would pick up, pick up relationships with each other, these toxic relationships while they were in rehab, which was against the rules and all that stuff. And they had other individuals who would start working out. I had a friend of mine who I used to work with, real cool dude named Ian. He luckily he went through rehab at an early age. And once he went through rehab at an early age, when he got out, he ended up working out. So he became like a bodybuilder. He became like a real big, strong bodybuilder because he wanted to stop drinking. He worked out. He said he worked out every single day for like 15 years, and that helped him stop drinking. Another guy I know, another real cool dude I used to work with named Ernie. Ernie got a real cool story. But Ernie went through rehab as well. And when Ernie went through rehab, he he was already into motorcycles and bike riding and stuff like that. But when he gave up drinking, he got more into riding his motorcycle, more into taking trips. Got a really great job, and he got really into counseling others and helping others with recovery. So the thing about it is, and I joked about this before, getting sober is a logistical nightmare because you literally have to rearrange your whole life. But if you plan it, you can pull it off. Coffee is still a problem for you? Dana, that is progress. It's better to grab a cup of coffee than, something else. So yes, that is progress. It's better to be, bouncing off the walls because of coffee. Okay, so you're friends with a lot of people. You're afraid of losing friends. Yeah, advice. Well, one of the things that I always advise anybody in that kind of a situation is to get closer to your friends. Definitely, if you have a situation where you have other individuals who are hating on you, they're trying to turn the world against you. First of all, understand this: get closer to your friends. They're going to support you. They're going to empower you. They're going to stick by your side. But another thing that I always say to people is be mindful, because you'll understand. You'll understand that a lot of the things that we're nervous about and afraid of, sometimes they're not as important as we think. And I'm not saying that's not important. How people perceive you and the place where you work is important. But at the same time, you'll realize that they really don't have power over you. The only power they can have over you is the power that you create in your own mind. So if you're a person who's going through anxiety, you're anxious of how other people feel, take that time, take a deep breath, become more mindful, meditate. Stay close to your friends and look within yourself. Seek refuge with your friends, but also seek refuge within yourself and empower yourself. Empower yourself. Make yourself stronger. Figure out what you need to get through the situation and develop that within yourself. Because trust me, I think a lot of us have been through that before. Where we felt like, and that happened to me, where I felt like my closest friends were like mocking me and were changing how they saw me, changing how they treated me. I felt that way. But we all feel that way. You're in your 20s, you're in your teens, even sometimes in your 30s. Usually around when you're 30, your friendships kind of settle and everything's kind of cool. But even sometimes in your 30s, something might happen where you feel like people are kind of turning against you. Seek refuge in your friends and build strong relationships. And if you got to develop relationships with people outside of that world, cool, do it. If you're going to a school and you feel like a lot of people at that school are starting to hate on you, all right, cool. Go outside the school. Make new friendships, make new connections, and make powerful connections. Individuals who are creative, or who are alive, or who will offer you the support that you need. And individuals who got your back, too. It's okay to have a couple, it's okay to have a couple loyal loose cannons. I'm not saying toxic people, but it's cool to have a loose cannon around. Everybody got a loose cannon. Everybody got that one friend where if things go way too far to the left, you need somebody to get your back. Everybody got at least I got at least 5 loose cannons who are my close friends. And they don't look for no problems, they don't look for no issues, but if things get turned up, you got a loose cannon. And of course, keep doing this. Keep showing up here. Keep showing up here with this positive energy and all this support. People are here for you. Anxiety could be the thing. It could be the result of needing to have control, but I think the need to have control usually comes from anxiety. Something happened, or you think something is going to happen, and because of that fear, you feel like you have to control things. And for some people, it could be the opposite, Sue. For some people, like with me, my anxiety made it so I didn't want to control anything, because I felt like that was too much. I felt like I wasn't worthy of any kind of control. Whenever I would engage in projects with my friends, me and all my friends are artists. Me and one of my friends right now watching, he's an artist. Grew up together. And whenever we were working on projects together, doing music or whatever, I felt like somebody else had to take control. Because of low self-esteem and because of anxiety. What's going to happen if I suggest something and they don't like it? What's going to happen if I want to take the music in one direction and they don't feel it? What's going to happen if I do something and it fails and it flops? Then they're going to look at me funny. So I get my anxiety, and for some people it's different. With their anxiety, it's like, I got to control everything. You got to do it my way. It got to be my way or the highway, because they can't let go. Yeah, you got to feel worthy. You definitely have to feel worthy. And building yourself up. Self-development is so important. And when I say build yourself up and develop yourself, don't fall for the industry stuff, because, and by that I simply mean this: there's a big industry out there that's telling you can do anything you want, you can manifest $1 million, you can use affirmations. Don't get me wrong, I believe in manifestation. It's how you doing? I believe in manifestation, and I've used affirmations myself. But I also believe that your mind is not a fool. You can't. The mind is something that can be deceived in some ways, and in other ways it can't be. It's tricky. And one thing I've realized is that if you try to trick your mind will put you right back where you started. So a lot of times we use these affirmations and we're like, I am great, I am confident. But if you're not really confident, your mind is like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you're not really confident. You'll say to yourself, I can do anything. And then you'll walk into a room and still be nervous, still be afraid, still feel underconfident, still hate yourself, right? Yeah, I can imagine that making you exhausted, so absolutely. So what I always tell everybody is the number one key to overcoming anxiety is self-development. And there's a term they use in psychology called self-efficacy. What is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy means that you can trust yourself to get things done. You develop that by trying new things and mastering certain skills. That's where your confidence comes from. And once you become more confident, you'll realize your anxiety will become reduced. But that means you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to expose yourself. Exposure is a technique where you just expose yourself to something that makes you uncomfortable for a minute. Time yourself. I used to walk around when I used to have panic attacks. One time I had a panic attack in a grocery store. But I told myself not letting my panic attack keep me from just living a normal life. I'm not going to be one of them dudes scared to go to the grocery store because of trauma. No, I'm not doing that. So I literally would have my cell phone. This was an old cell phone. And then I would use that cell phone, put the timer on, and literally just walk around. And for me, when I first started, it was like 3 minutes. 3 minutes of me just walking around in the grocery store, people looking at me like, what's going on? I'm just walking around. Then I just walk right back out. Then I did it again, 5 minutes. Then I did it again, 7 minutes. So once I beat that and I exposed myself to it and I was okay, then it was time for me to develop more skills. And then over time, I started to feel more confident in myself. Jessica, how you doing? I started to feel more confident in myself. And guess what happened? When the confidence begins to rise, the anxiety decreases. You feel so anxious all the time because you don't feel confident. Even your need to control things comes from a lack of confidence because you're afraid of what's going to happen if you can't control things. You're afraid that you can't handle it. There's a lot of people out there who are confident. They know whatever comes their way, they're going to handle it. If you feel like you're going through anxiety, severe anxiety, that might seem like a whole universe away. That might seem like 1,000,000 years away, but I guarantee you one thing, you're going to get further with trying than with complaining about how hard it is. You're welcome, Sue. You're very welcome. And everybody who's here, thank you. Peace and blessings to all of y'all. So, yeah, like I was saying, self-efficacy. Start developing yourself. That's how you overcome it. You know, no fake affirmation is going to do it. You know, there's no magic spell. They treat affirmations like an affirmation is supposed to be a magic spell. An affirmation is supposed to be training your mind through self-talk and positive self-talk. It's not a magic spell. If you're a person who lacks confidence and you're walking around saying, I am the king of the universe, I feel great, I'm going to do great in this presentation at my job. It don't mean anything. If you haven't built those skills, it don't mean nothing. So start with those skills. Start exposing yourself to things you're nervous about. You can't fool yourself. There's a what's the name of that song? It's a Bobby Womack song. A real old smooth Bobby Womack? And he was like mad at his girlfriend. And he was mad at his girlfriend because his girlfriend was acting real stuck up. She was acting real stuck up to his friends. And I could be wrong. It might be Teddy Pendergrass. But she was acting real stuck up with his friends. And he was like, you going around with your nose in the air acting like you're better than everybody. So you could lie to everybody else. You can't lie to yourself. He said jive because this is like the 1970s. So you can jive everybody else. You can't jive yourself though. You can't lie to yourself. No matter how hard you try. We get good at it too. We get real good at deception and being sneaky and trying to trick ourselves to believe all kinds. But at the end of the day, if you're not getting the results, your lies ain't working. You could tell yourself you're confident, but if you're still living in a world this big, your world is still this big and you don't have no confidence yet. You can tell yourself, I'm going to be successful, but after like 10 years, if you're not successful, that means you're still afraid and holding yourself back. You can tell yourself, true love will find me. No, it won't. Sorry. That manifestation stuff, the Bible says faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith you want. If you ain't doing nothing to develop yourself, you're not going to get nothing. None of that. True love is going to find me. No, you got to find it. You got to put the work in. You got to find it. And you will find it once you develop yourself and learn how to trust yourself. But trust is one of those things. If you're a person who has anxiety, you're anxious about trusting others, or you have issues with trusting others. Now, with me, my issue was that I would just trust anybody. I was anxious and lonely, so I would just jump into situations. There was so many times where I would be drunk, walking around downtown Hartford by myself, tipsy off the whiskey, singing songs loud, and somebody would just pull up in the car like, yo, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. They'd be like, yo, come on, get in. I'll just get in. Come on, let's go. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I might get robbed, I might get killed. But I didn't care. Like, hey, who cares? Don't matter. Right? But anyway, my issue was I trusted too much. I wanted no control. Because I felt like I had to be open to all possibilities in order to change my life. I felt like I had to be open to everything because I felt like I didn't know how to change my life or how to find love or none of that stuff. So anything that came my way, sure, let's go. I remember one time these girls pulled up to me. I was in front of my house, like 2 a.m, couldn't sleep. Master insomniac. And this car full of women pull up. and they pulled over because they was looking for ecstasy. This is back when ecstasy was popping. And one of them hopped out the car on a cell phone talking all fast to somebody. She's like, man, we got to get high. Where the ecstasy at? Blah, 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 blah. I got to find some ecstasy. Then she looks at me like, where can we get some E at? In my mind, I'm like, I don't know where I can get no E at, but can I come with y'all? She's like, yeah, come on, get in. Who knows what could have happened that night? Who knows what could have happened that night? But just thinking, that's what anxiety does. Anxiety, with me, anxiety was a strange thing. It made me hold back in some situations and go too far in other situations. You relate with that too, but not with E? Yeah. And I've never even tried E or none of that stuff. I never did no heavy duty drugs like that. Never. But it's just that with me, anxiety made me afraid in some instances and reckless in other ones. But the number one relationship you have to build trust in is your relationship with yourself. Gotta learn to trust yourself. But just like any other relationship, trust has to be built. You have to build your relationship with yourself so you can trust you. Yeah, the anxiety can make you do anything because you're like a cornered animal. In some instances, an animal that's cornered might shrink and get real scared. It might just run or it might attack you. So that's the thing. That's the big key. And you have to learn how to trust yourself. And how do you develop that trust in yourself? By spending time with yourself, learning your patterns, and developing the skills you need to move forward. Now it might take you a little while to be able to develop the skills to maintain a relationship. But if you have the skill to acknowledge when you're wrong and then change the behavior, guess what? That's a major part of a relationship. And like one thing I had to learn too was in my relationship, stop making jokes. Like if I was wrong, I would try to and make a joke about it. I had to stop doing that. Like if I'm wrong, acknowledge that I'm wrong. Don't try to deflect by being funny because I was afraid. I had low self-esteem already. It was humiliating for me to have to acknowledge that I made another mistake, that I did something else wrong. Something else didn't work because of me. So I had to really, thank you for the donation, Aaron. Appreciate it. And that's, that was tough for me to acknowledge, okay, I did something wrong. And then once I was able to do that, I could work on trying to change the behavior. And that was cool. See, that's maybe why you went skydiving. Or maybe it could be that within your anxiety, you got a lust for life. You never know. Maybe you just got a lust for life. We all have a part of us that has a lust for life. So we've done some things. So your anxiety has shifted. So it's going from being, out of control to now where it's confining you and keeping you trapped. Tia, I definitely understand what you're talking about. I definitely understand what you're talking about. So now it's time to try to get unstuck. It's time to get unstuck. And a big part of getting unstuck is learning to trust yourself, developing the skills that you need, and also, like I said, a little bit of exposure. If you're afraid of big crowds of people, and I'm not a big fan of crowds either, but it's okay. Go to that concert. Go to that event. Go to that dinner. Go to that family gathering. Go and then just leave. Even if you pull up and say what's up to everybody and just leave. I've done that. I've drove by people when I had in social anxiety. I would drive by spots, hang out outside for 5 minutes and just leave. Or somebody invite me to a gathering. I drive by. What's up? I gotta go. I'll be right back. I went. A little bit of exposure at a time helps. And like I said, I made certain changes because I was so stubborn. I refused to let anything control my life. And that's how I want you guys to feel. Be a little bit stubborn. Be a little bit stubborn. And then you'll get kind of addicted to breaking through these barriers. Once you realize you can do something, and that's what self-efficacy is. Once you realize you can do something, you get kind of addicted to it. You're like, oh, snap, I can do that? I didn't think that I could go into a room full of people for 10 minutes and be okay. Let me do 20 real quick. Oh, I didn't know that I could, go out on this date and have a good time and not be afraid of getting rejected. That felt good. Let me go out on a date again. I didn't know I could sit this close to somebody who I find attractive and then not self-sabotage because I feel unworthy. I could just sit here and just enjoy the moment. This feels good. Let me do it again. And then on and on and on, and all your accomplishments will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And then what happens when it gets big enough? When it gets big enough, it begins to attract anybody, any physical object in the world, in a universe that's big enough, inevitably will start to warp space and time and attract other objects to it. It'll develop a gravitational pull. Same thing with you. Once your heart gets big enough and your mind gets big enough and your confidence gets big enough, it'll be a gravitational pull. You start pulling people to you. But take that step. Take that step and journal. Write a journal. I used to have this thing where I would write a journal and I would be so embarrassed to go back and read the pages. But when you go back and read the pages, it is insightful. And if you have anxiety, depression, any of that stuff, you're going to need those insights. You're going to need those insights. You're going to need to see what's going on in your mind. And you're going to need to be able to look back on it and track your progress. And I used to write about what I was thinking and what I was feeling. I still got one of my old notebooks somewhere. I got to find it. I'm going to find it and I'm going to read it. I might read it next time we have one of these live streams. I might just read you all the stuff that I was thinking that I didn't want to face. Yeah, that's right. I mean, one small action and build your relationship with yourself and learn how to trust yourself. You know? And like I said, the affirmation, people run around with these affirmations like, I love myself. I love myself. I tried that. It does not work. However, you can develop love for yourself. It's beautiful. You can love yourself. I didn't know I could love myself when I was young. Now I realize that, I really do love and care for myself. And so my life changed. And I still got a long ways to go. There's still more I want to accomplish, but I will. I am going to manifest, create the things that I want. Well, yes, that's a part of it. Absolutely. Find one thing you love about yourself and start with that and build on that. But also, developing skills. Say, for instance, you want to learn how to play guitar. Learn how to play guitar. You want to learn how to sing. Learn how to sing. So you want to learn how to run your own business. Run your own business. Develop those skills. Make those mistakes and keep going forward. Keep building. Keep elevating. And once you develop yourself, you'll be able to have a relationship with yourself and you'll appreciate yourself. And yes, if you have something about yourself you genuinely, truly love, yes, let that be the starting point of a new love affair with yourself. And what I'm talking about, I don't mean narcissism. I don't mean being self-obsessed and being cruel to others. But I do mean, yes, love yourself. But it takes time to build that. It takes time to build that self-love. And, I want you to put that time in. We ain't got nothing but time. We on this planet for a short period of time, but we really ain't got nothing but time anyway. And we got time. As long as you on this planet every day, you can take a step in the right direction. Like I said, when I was trying to overcome my depression and overcome having panic attacks, I literally would meditate every day for 5 minutes for years. No, it started off with 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and so forth. For years. Every day making a step in the right direction. Yeah, loving yourself is not... Narcissism only really comes in it when your self-love becomes toxic to others. That's narcissism. But loving yourself, think about it. All the individuals you see out there walking around smiling and happy is because they love themselves. All the people that we look at and we get mad at them when we see them because we secretly envy them. I used to go to clubs and go to bars and see people walking around with drinks in their hands and they'll drink just a little bit and they'll have great conversations and they'll have their girlfriend or their significant other with them. And I used to be like, man, these people so fake. They're so fake. I see through all. But really, I'm like, I wish I could be like that. Here I am walking around with a pitcher of beer, like a Viking, in one hand. And we got a fifth of Jack Daniels in the car. And some weed in the car. I'm smashed just to be here. I'm smashed just to be in a room full of people. I had to get smashed. Not even smashed. You got to say it with the SH at the beginning. Smashed. I'm smashed just to show up here. And he walking around with one drink. He's in such a state of bliss and happiness with his beautiful girlfriend. He don't need to drink that much. He can have one drink because he's going home to make love to the woman he's with. The reason why I'm so drunk is because I ain't got nobody. Yeah, faced, yeah. And that's me showing up. I'm showing up, blotto. I'm showing up drunk. Before I say anything to anybody, I pop up on a scene. There's an old hip hop group I used to listen to called the Alcoholics, and the lead rapper had a line in a song where he was like, his name was Tash. He said, "Just dial in," and this is when the internet first started getting big. He's like, "Just dial in www.tash.com and I'll appear on your screen with the beer in palm." That's how I was. I just show up with a beer. How you walk into a bar with a beer? Yeah, pre-gaming until I realized that I was losing. I realized every time I played the game I was losing because I was pre-gaming too much. So yeah, that's what my anxiety did to me. It made me feel like I had to be intoxicated to engage in any kind of human interaction. Any kind. Because I expected it to end horribly at any given moment. You know, I remember, dating women and thinking to myself, she can't possibly like me. Or being with a woman and she's enjoying her time with me and I'm like, nah, she's gonna set me up. Like, I remember I was so insecure. I remember I was dating a girl and she called me to come over at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, she trying to set me up for the robbery. I'm like, she trying to set me up for a robbery. I'm like, nah, I can't make it. Because in my mind, I couldn't believe like an attractive young lady would call me and want, to spend time with me and hang out. I thought it was a setup. I'm thinking she got some dudes hiding in the closet with the heat. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I wish I was more of a people person. But understand, O'Reilly, you could be an introvert. Nothing's wrong with being an introvert. I'm a very low stimulation person. I don't need a whole lot to feel entertained. There's other people who just need all of that to feel entertained. I have a friend of mine, my boy Ant. We grew up together. He needs all that to feel entertained. I remember we used to hang out. He would have a TV on. He had an air conditioner on in the dead of winter. He'd be drinking. He had the music playing. He'd be playing the guitar all at the same time. He needs all of that to feel entertained. Whereas with me, I could just sit there and we just crack jokes and we'd be good. So it's okay to be an introvert. Don't knock yourself for that. But only when, keeping to yourself is becoming hurtful to you and keeping you from growing. Yeah, that's, for me too, Riley. That's crazy stimulation. That's way too much. Even now, sometimes I'll be watching TV and I'll be looking at my phone and I'll be like, what am I doing? This is too much. Let me focus on one thing. So I put my phone in my pocket and just watch whatever I'm watching. Because even that is too much for me. That will have me to the point where throughout the week I'll be sitting trying to read and I can't concentrate because all that stimulation will mess up my focus. So I'll just stick to one thing at a time and I'm cool with that. But for other people, to maximize their enjoyment and to maximize their flow, they need all of that, which is cool. But if you're an introvert, nothing wrong with being an introvert. Nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you're growing and that you're developing healthy relationships. And for everybody else, self-efficacy, this is what I want you to do. Let's walk away with this thought because we're reaching the hour point. We're getting close to the hour. So before I go, I just want to say this. Give yourself a chance. Yeah, and Brian, that's a good suggestion. For everybody who didn't see it, Brian's suggestion was he said he did a personality test and helped him figure. He did a personality test and helped him to figure out how he thought, and that helped reduce anxiety. Awesome, yeah, and all of that stuff. And for anybody else too, do the personality test. Get the therapist. If it's severe enough and your therapist says, "Hey, get some medication," okay, try it. I always tell everybody this, man. Give yourself a chance to enjoy a different life. That's what self-love is really about. Self-love is about loving yourself enough to want to maximize your potential and maximize your bliss. That's what self-love is about. Give yourself a chance. It says in the Bible, taste and see that it is good. Don't let your anxiety keep you from trying stuff. Don't think of all the reasons why something's going to go wrong before you even try it. Give yourself a chance. And say to yourself, I'm just going to taste. Taste and see that it is good. I'm just going to taste it. I want to go outside today. Just taste it. Try it. Go for a walk. Taste it. Try it. I want to, be with somebody. Okay. Take it easy. Take it slow. Know your patterns. But just taste it. See that it is good. But I gotta get up super early, take the kids to school. Anybody who's been here, y'all know that. I gotta take my kids to school in the morning. And as you can see, my eyes getting low. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sleepy. So I'm gonna say peace and blessings to everybody. Insight Timer, thank you. Everybody else, thank you. Appreciate y'all showing up. Alex, thank you, Alex. I appreciate you. Brian, rock on. Everybody, good night. Peace and blessings to everybody who showed up. Please show up again next week. And we'll talk some more about this kind of stuff. And thank you very much, Dana. I appreciate the donation. Good night, favorite diva. Good night, everybody. Peace and blessings. Mm-hmm.